Well, hello everybody, and welcome to yet another edition of Metaworld News. This is our highlights for the week ending the 24th of June 2018. And if all goes well, it's going to be highlights. I'm going to resist procrastination, whatever it's called, this week. Right. Well, over here in London, the news is heat. Ah, always a good thing.
Oh, wow.
Hopefully all you, rest of you have got a moderate amount of heat too, except for the poor people in Australia who are now approaching winter, but I gather some of them are flying over to Los Angeles. Oh, well, at least the science-based ones are anyway. Okay, but that's enough for the news. That's not the news, if you see what I mean. You can follow me on Twitter at twitter.com slash Malburns, Malburns. And you can also follow this show's feed, which is a bit more specific to social worlds, on twitter.com slash Metaworld News, or one word. This program brings you a bit of social worlds news, which is our main thing, but we also look a bit at computer interfacing, immersive computing, as some people call it nowadays, because the way we interface with the computer has an awful lot to do with the way we interface with virtual worlds too. So there you are. In fact, in an ideal world, your desktop would be a virtual space. Okay, let's get going. Let's get going to the links. My first link comes from a site called 3dartistonline.com. And that is actually the number three, the numeral, and then D, the letter, lowercase, then artist, and then online. But all one string of alphanumerics. So it's 3dartistonline.com. And this article is actually about, can VR solve 3D artists' health issues? And this is actually rather interesting. The theory, this is more to do with actually working in VR rather than working on VR, if you see the difference. But they were looking at sort of designers working online. I presume this is people doing everything from making websites through to real world stuff that you do on screens or whatever. 15% had back problems, 15% had headaches and migraines, 13% had eye problems, 11% had repetitive strain injuries, such as carpal tunnel syndrome, and furthermore, 6% decided of of their own violation that they might be obese, and 5% has circulation problems, etc., etc. So it seems we designers, well, at least 3D designers, are not in the best of health half the time. But the idea here is that you've got things like standing desks and all sorts of things, but apparently when you're used to it, VR, you have full range of motion and stuff like that. Once you're over the experience of being in whatever contraption you're in to be in VR, or contraptions, plural, um, then as long as you can relax in it and get on with stuff, you're actually going to be an awful lot healthier working in a virtual reality space than you are in front of a screen. So nice thought that. Go figure. Um, I imagine there is something in that. Well, this article certainly implies there is, um, down the road, as it were. But I think the problem is how, if you are a designer and have to work 8 hours or more a day, how comfortable would you be with being in virtuality doing that, given the contraptions we have to strap onto ourselves at the moment? But interesting research, as it were, nonetheless, as of course research always is, isn't it? I think it is. Usually it is. Right. um, okay, I've got can't even open this. This is very weird. A crypto journalist critiques Markspace. Um, okay, I've got a couple of links here that don't. Oh, hang on, I got a wheelie. Maybe Windows is thinking about it. I was just going to say I've got a couple of links that didn't go anywhere. In fact, I go apologise for that because it's taking so long that I can't be bothered. Um, what I would say is, I think it was RyanSchultz.com. I had a post, or it might have been on Medium. A crypto journalist critiques Mark Space. Mark Space is one of these blockchainy type a virtual world that's supposed to be a social virtual world as well as a commercial one with its currencies and stuff like that. And there was some severe expert criticisms of the way they are kind of approaching things, even though previously reported, that everybody hypes up their product, don't they? So if you're interested about Mark Space, read that. Oculus, that's the one Facebook turned over, freeing up the original inventor to work for Donald Trump, basically. Oh gosh, golly, isn't it a conspiracy?
Whoa,
Right,
yeah.
he's building the virtual wall for Trump. Apparently, Trump doesn't need so many physical bricks and mortar because he's now got electronic sensors every 2 inches or something.
Whoa.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty disastrous, isn't it?
Okay,
But
right.
maybe Facebook should have just kept him on Oculus to keep him under wraps. But never mind. Um, Oculus is owned by Facebook, of course, and Oculus Go was the latest thing they came up with because it's untethered. This is a report at uploadvr.com. Oculus have actually released some data. Being owned by Facebook, obviously, they probably have plenty of that particular commodity. And apparently, a significant percentage, yes, significant percentage, not quite sure what percentage, of VR users still play seated. Shock, horror. Yeah, Facebook have discovered that people are putting on Oculus headsets and they're not standing up and moving around in them because they feel safer seated. Okay, so if you're going to play seated, why not just do it in front of a screen? Duh. Anyway, um, who knows? Who knows? Read all about it at uploadvr.com. Right, also, well, no, sorry, vrscout.com. Two posts from VR Scout, in fact. Um, Shortening the distance between family and friends with Oculus Go. This is, I think I could put that on last week. They jumbled my days, have they? Basically, Oculus Go is the untethered headset, and this was an article about how you can communicate with family and friends in 3D and virtual worlds and stuff, and basically say goodbye to Skype. Except you probably won't. Right. And also at vrscout.com, VR companies need to attract more women. And according to vrscout.com and Kate Wilson, in fact, here's how they can. Yep, go read. Industry is growing hungry for female influence. Women in VR has never been more important. And oh well, actually, it then gets into a whole load of history about STEM and the X Files and all sorts of other things. So if you want a nice little read, do check that out at vrscout.com. Are virtual reality and augmented reality the future of education? Um, a question that is asked quite a lot. This post actually is from Kurzweil AI .net, but I'm just going to click on it to check that we're in the right place here. Because my thing is no, this is the right place basically. Um, Welcome to the Memory Palace. How to safely walk around and maybe run in VR. Um, yep, it is a post from Kurzweil Direct. Um, Quite a lot of videos, quite a lot of discussion, etc., etc. And I'm just going to click back here. Right, it also references a site which is helldesign.net. But I think if you just go to kurzweilai.net, you'll find it. That's Ray Kurzweil's site. So it's Kurzweil and then AI, but it's all one word. So it's kurzweilai.net for that little article. Right. Okay. Well, we love our interfacing toys, don't we? And we use our hands and we use our mouths to speak. Of course, we do. And we also use our eyes to look. And I guess we use our arms and our muscles for our typing and our mouse movements. And I suppose we sort of use our feet if we're going to go on a treadmill or something. But, here's the new one. Take a walk on the wild side of VR with, yep, you guessed it, cyber shoes. Right. This has nothing to do with the Nike things that worked with your iPads once upon a time. Um, an immersive VR locomotion solution that ditches omnidirectional treadmill design in favor of a swivel chair. If you've seen the movie Ready Player One or been to CS or other recent barbars, odds are you're at least familiar with the concept behind omnidirectional devices. Um, and this is uh, uh, Enter Cyber Shoes, a company out of Vienna, which is in Europe for those of you Americans listening, that wants to give you the same kind of freedom that comes from the treadmill experience, only without the treadmill. It's got a nice little graphic saying shoes plus chair equals, and then somebody walking with a headset on. I don't know, my mathematics. Well, let's say my understanding of mathematics and the visual iconography in that illustration don't quite click, but go figure. The implication is you need a chair and shoes to go walking. I think what they're suggesting is you need neither a chair. You just need their shoes. Okay, so you can find this at vrscout.com. Yes, again, reporting by Bobby Charlton over there. Um, virtualreality-news.net. A new report explores greater accessibility for VR games and content. Again, here looking at accessibility tools, interfaces, etc. Yeah, for well, actually, it is specifically, if I remember rightly, when I was reading it, for VR games. But as we all know, virtual worlds, immersive worlds, and things are pretty much the same thing as a game when it comes to technology. The only difference is the content and what you do with them. Right. 2 days ago, news from the almighty Microsoft. Yes, them. Microsoft have abandoned VR plans for Xbox One. Yeah, Engadget.com reported on this. Engadget. Um, Apparently, users of Microsoft Xbox One console have been sort of hanging on, sort of waiting for them to do what Sony and the other gaming platforms do, and sort of turn the thing into a modern virtual reality machine with add-ons. And hot on the heels of Microsoft actually abandoning Kinect, which was actually probably their first attempt at tactile interfacing with the Xbox many years ago. They've now abandoned any virtual reality plans for Xbox One completely, which is kind of going against the trend, isn't it? But again, sort of, I guess Microsoft probably wouldn't know whether something's a trend or not, actually. Not exactly in touch with the real world, I think. Anyway, they've confirmed they're not focusing on either technology for the console for the time being anyway. Um, this, of course, they note, is a complete 180 degrees from Xbox chiefs Phil Spencer promised to integrate VR within Xbox One X. But instead, it seems Microsoft have become preoccupied with bringing the immersive qualities of VR and MR to their PCs. Um, Translation: if Halo makes the leap into VR as a flagship title, Xbox One players will be left out in the cold. Um, and they justify this on the basis that PCs are probably the best platform because it's open and already has multiple companies supporting it. Well, assuming you've got a contract with Microsoft, I guess. Yeah, anyway, go read that about Engadget. You've got a little article to read there about why the almighty Microsoft have abandoned VR plans for Xbox. Right, Apple have detailed something to do with VR, actually. Apple have detailed the latest VR optimizations coming to Mac OS Mojave. Um, I think you pronounce it Mojave.
Mojave, I think it's a Native American.
Oh, it would be, wouldn't it? Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
remember I was told the last time Apple invented a name for something, I kept mispronouncing it because, of course, not being American, I had no idea
Yeah,
what
yeah, yeah, of course.
I was using phonetics.
Right,
And then mine says Mojave, thank you. Anyway, yes, Mojave or Macave or Macave or whatever it is. Mac OS 10.14, in fact. That's a better way of donating it, I think.
indeed.
Anyway, they get VR optimizations will be introduced with that. This, of course, isn't iOS. This is for your Apple Macintosh, graphics computers and stuff. Um, And well, it has to do with Apple's Metal Graphics ABI and all sorts of other stuff. I get the impression from a cursory reading of this article, and I actually got quite a lot of it open, but it's a lot of it's gobbledygook to me. Um, I have a feeling that this is geared mostly to people authoring for VR rather than any actual VR um, output device Apple may be offering, which of course is a separate thing. At the moment, you have things like the helmets and stuff like that, and many of them are notorious because they don't, or rather, Apple is notorious because it doesn't really support that kind of stuff. But go figure. Anyway, optimizations for VR in the forthcoming Mac OS version 10.14. Okay, plus Google.com. Right, what on earth is God, sometimes some very strange links appear. Okay, well, I seem to have got a link here, which I follow an author called David Brin, very interesting guy actually, on Google Plus, and I appear to have actually managed to post it in the wrong feed, but look at it, or maybe Windows did that for me, or Google did it for me. Something altogether different. It's actually a link that he posted on Google Plus to csi.asu.edu /books/overview, and a free download. Stories in the Stratosphere, collection of near future stories collected at ASU, edited by Ed Finn.
Hmm.
Stories by all sorts of people, plus one that David Brin collaborated on with Tobias Bucknell. Anyway, that's a little add-on special bit of news, which ain't meant to be in the stream, but somehow got there. So go figure, go figure. I don't know how that got there. Right, engadgets.com. We had one from them a minute ago. Engadget. And the Brooklyn neighborhood remade as a VR game. Okay, well, I'm not particularly into games, and I don't really consider them to be interactive worlds as a rule. Um, but this is actually a story about somebody called Ray Graham. I think it's, or maybe other people too, who's been working on the game from early 2016. He's only 20 years old and he loves Skyrim and stuff. And apparently they've taken Brownsville. Um, the game's called Fireflies, a Brownsville story. And you enter the game as one of two young characters, male or female, who've been separated by historical neighborhood conflicts and are both aspiring documentary makers. And you enjoy this majority black neighborhood. They've apparently rebuilt the entire neighborhood in question in a virtual world. And 40 people from the Brownsville Community Justice Centers, basically, have been toiling together for 2 years on this ambitious project, creating a faithful block by block replica of their neighborhood and many of its residents in virtuality for an open world video game. Um, and yeah, what can I say? It's optimized for Oculus Rift, I gather. They developed it mostly using Unity. And what follows is a technical loss of demographic information about Brownsville, which I think I'll leave it to you to investigate Brownsville as a VR experience and find out all you need to know. Anyway, Engadget had a report on that, and yeah, you can look up the game itself. It's called Fireflies: a Brownsville story. All right, let me flip my what's it again? Must be coming up to date now. And this one is rather interesting when it comes to interfacing. The creator of Internet Explorer, yes, we know who owns that product, but this is the person who created it many years ago, wants to read your mind with a bracelet. And you'll find this post at digitaltrends or oneword.com. I'm just going to open it briefly to refresh my memory. Oh, go away with your privacy bugger thing. Sorry, close. You can't go anywhere without an interference screen these days. Right. Um, a New York startup called Control Labs. Control is the CTRL sort of letters that you find on the control key of a keyboard, I guess. Um, he just the yeah Thomas Reardon, who created Internet Explorer, describes himself as an applied research neuroscience company. Well, he's not a company, he's a him. But never mind. With designs on decoding your neural activity. Unlike many of its rivals in this space, it doesn't actually venture too close to your cranium to do it. And it certainly won't be brandishing any drills or other cutting implements. Yes, well, glad to hear that one at least. Anyway, what they've developed is an electronic wristband that promises to make possible non invasive mental control of computers and obviously virtual worlds and all the stuff we love too. Smart prosthetics and a range of devices. This brain computer interface uses voltage bursts that result from contractions in the arm's muscle fibers. Now, I mentioned something similar to this, although it isn't the same one in the previous news a few weeks ago. The idea is that the activity in our brain is actually electrical, and we don't actually need to stick electrodes on our head to detect what's going on in the brain. We can do it just as well from wrists or various parts of our bodies, which are able to detect the electrical signals that our brain is sending to different parts of our body to do things. Um, the signals, the electric currents, as it were, that are communicating between our brain and our skeleton and muscles and all the rest of our organics, um, happen regardless. And all you need to do is be able to monitor that activity from some point on your body that is capable of detecting it all. In other words, if your wrist, sorry, can actually detect what's going in your brain. In other words, it sort of goes back up your arm to your brain and monitors what's going on and sees the brain talking to your leg or some other part of your body, depending on what kind of activity you're up to, I guess, then maybe the wrist is all that is actually needed to create the interface between brain activity and what you're doing. And apparently they like the idea of the wrist because those people who are used to using mice and keyboards and things, all that old 21st century stuff, um, the wrist is sort of in the right position to be able to detect things going on there. So maybe you're wearing two wristbands, and you can just wibble your fingers in thin air and you don't need a keyboard. It just appears there in AR or something. But you don't need to wiggle your fingers at all because your brain can just tell. Well, I don't know. I'd have to experience it. Even then, I probably wouldn't be able to explain it. But you get the idea. The idea is you just have a very simple wristband, basically. And there is a photograph of the guy actually wearing this. And it's quite funny because some aspects of it look like somebody playing with Leap Motion in terms of the fingers on screen and stuff. But it do you know? I think from what I can tell from the movies, I think it's machine guns that have this sort of ring full of bullets, and it goes through, and you fire one, and this circular chain of bullets or something keeps going forward. Anyway, the thing he's actually wearing on his wrist looks like a miniature one of those. I mean, this is no subtle sort of wristband that's like an Apple Watch or something like that. This is like a wristband that is full of it looks like miniature missiles ready to take off, and his hand in a peculiar position. Anyway, I won't repeat the article. You can read it for yourself. You'll find it at a site called digitaltrends.com. Um, the post was a couple of days ago, written by Luke Dormeil. Can't people have pronounceable names, please? Right, check that out. Right, another VR experience sort of thing that is worthy of mention, I think, tour the historic Anne Frank house in VR. Um, the um, the Anne Frank house in Westerkerk in Amsterdam is considered an important reminder of the discrimination Frank and others faced during World War II. and it's also been open to the public since 1960. Well, now they've kind of recreated it in VR as a kind of experience. Now, I haven't tried this, I haven't got the right VR kit, but looking at the photos, the only thing that did surprise me is it doesn't seem nearly as claustrophobic or as what you might what we tend to think that's existent must have been like. But apparently it's based on the real thing. So sort of go figure. I don't know. This picture looks far more modern than I would imagine. Um, Something in that time looking. But I'm just getting by a picture here, so maybe they've chosen the wrong picture or something. Um, it's a 20th century canal house, and I thought it was very small, like almost a cubicle she was in, but who knows? Who knows? Anyway, you can install this in VR. You'll find the article at vrscout.com, and yeah, if you want to actually get it, you need to download it from the Oculus Store, and it's for Samsung Gear VR, and it's completely free of charge. Uh, After all that, right? Okay. Um, this one is a bit out of our field of reference. There's actually a site called thecelebritycafe.com, and they've done a feature on somebody called well, I forget her real name. Um, Xiola Linden, Xiola. She's the lead community manager for Second Life, Linden Labs' old platform, and she dishes on the 15th anniversary celebration. Um, PR basically. All week, Linden Lab have been celebrating 15 years of Second Life, and in fact, I believe it was yesterday that is actually the actual 15th, or was actually the actual 15th birthday. So they're sort of leading up to this weekend as opposed to starting last weekend. Um, or I don't know, you get the idea. Um, anyway, it's interesting to see a little article like that. Celebrity cafe. Who knew? Yeah, the Linda's a real life
Mm-hmm.
celebrity. Gosh, golly. Okay. Uploadvr.com finally. One more post here is it's not a PR as such for Google. I suspected it was when I started reading, but it is all about Google, and obviously a bit of insider information here. Google's long-term strategy could dominate AR and VR, and it's basically looking at a bit of the past, a bit of the present, and a bit of the apparent future in Google's development strategies. And it's doing a bit of what you might call putting two and two together to try and make six out of things that we know Google have done or are doing, and kind of supposing, which is a very dangerous direction to go in, actually, kind of extrapolating what will probably be the case. And obviously, none of us ever really know what the future is going to bring. But there you go. It was an interesting read, I must say. Okay, I think that's it for the main. What if? What if? Well, what if? Hang on. Oh, yes. Okay, finally, this is a link to a magazine at issue.com. The Virtual Education Journal, VEJ, it's called. The summer 2018 issue is out, and its subtitle is What If, which explains what I was blabbering on about a minute ago. The early one to get to it is t.co, that's co, dash, slash, I mean, SXV, oh, hang on, lowercase s, capital X, capital V, capital S, lowercase o, lowercase e, lowercase v, capital K, lowercase l, lowercase u. Didn't you just love that one? If you go to the Malbone's Twitter feed, you'll find a link, and it will just take you straight to the PDF or the flipbook kind of version of the PDF. So educators take notes on that one. Okay, now I'm moving across now. If I can ever understand what this is doing on my Windows screen here, to the Metaworld feed. This is the twitter.com Metaworld news feed. Alt Space VR. They're the ones that were shutting down and then got taken over, surprisingly, by Microsoft, and so they're still alive, so to speak. And it is considered to be a social VR app. One of the first, well, they think it's one of the first. I don't think they're counting Second Life and stuff. Um, Altspace VR debuts a new hangout space and game shows. Basically, what they're doing is I think they've always had a kind of portal kind of landing area, but I mean, it seems to me they're just enhancing it or whatever. You can read more about it at uploadvr.com, a link we frequently mention in the other section too. Right, hypergridbusiness.com posted on, oh, right. Sorry, this is an old one that they stuck second on my list. I don't know why. Um, yeah, they had the post on the GDPR compliance demystifying hypergrid travelers. We spoke more, far more than enough about that before now. Right, 2 days ago, hypergrid business, however, um, Maria posted Kitely to begin offering virtual private grids. Which will be, private grids you can run yourself, entire grids, and they'll be running on top of Kitely's infrastructure if you're interested. And another grid called Tranquility Grid have launched its first Globit MAL. So that's really just another grid called Tranquility that have adopted Globits as their preferred method of tender for your virtual goods and whatever. Also on that feed, quite a few videos this week from here, there, and everywhere. Just various stuff around the hypergrid. Um, uploadvr.com again. AR and VR news and education roundup kind of article. Um, I can't even remember posting this. I think it was a gremlin that posted for me, but anyway, it's a roundup article. I probably did post it without bothering to read it properly because I probably read everything that's in it anyway by default. Right. Again, this was Hypergrid Business again. I think YR Grid, YR, capital Y, small r, then capital G for grid. YR Grid tries, fails with a Kickstarter to save the grid. That was about a week ago, so I think actually, yeah, we're out of links on this one. Um, I did mention you can find details in New World Notes, which is nwm.blogs.com. If you happen to be in Los Angeles or San Francisco, the guys from Science Space, that's Adam Frisbee from Australia, and Rowan, um, the CEO, who's over here in London. Uh, they're both over in California at the moment. I was reading the feeds earlier and saw a post from Adam saying landed. He's landed. Anyway, the two of them are kind of touring around Los Angeles and California, sort of meeting people, and they're giving several multi-user Unity 3D social VR enterprise education demos um, um, all over the place while they're there. So follow the links at the Hamlet's blog there, nwm.blogs.com, and if you're in that area, at least find out a bit more information. And who knows? Who knows? They may film various things they do at the same time. Okay, so what else is there for me to check up here? Right, my posts. This is just checking Google Plus, which again is all out of sorts. And I'm reminding myself of my highlights here through an app called Flipboard, which is you can get as a desktop app on Mac and Windows, and particularly useful on iOS, your iPads and stuff. I have several magazines there. I do have one that I post some stuff to now and again. It's simply called Futures. Apparently, I got 3,000 viewers, 50,000 page flips, 660 followers, all for 301 stories. So I'm going to, I might put a few more things here, but I'm going to mention the ones that it's like bookmarking my own stuff, the stuff that's just a wee bit off, what's in the normal feeds, and Uh, various one. The Engadget.com this week. Uh, Same link, Engadget. There was an article about something called multi-touch skin, which makes your body the controller. Um, this is rather odd stuff. It's you know, we remember stories of, you know, the dreams of living in a future where we'd all be wearing lycra bodysuits and nodes here, there, and everywhere. Well, now I think the idea is you can. Well, actually, the material, this can actually be printed from an inkjet, oddly enough, onto a plastic sticker. Who knows what they can print with actual 3D printer? Um, but a group of scientists at Germany's Saarland University have announced exactly um, that computer interface on your body, basically. Called multi-touch skin, the material can be inkjet printed onto a plastic sticker and register a touch from multiple points at once, much like your phone or tablet screen does. Sticker is made of two stacked layers of electrodes that are arranged in a grid. The current iteration of the material needs to be hardwired to a touch controller microchip, which is then connected in the demos to a small Raspberry Pi computer. But presumably in the end, it will just be connected to your mobile phone. Anyway, I thought that was quite interesting because it's sort of a device. The photo shows somebody having printed a sort of what looks like a sort of medical bandage of some sort that they've got tucked behind their ear. But I'm sure it could just be printed and put anywhere. And the idea is the surface of this sort of second layer of skin is actually touch sensitive, just like your mobile phones and things are. Um, and that post was at Engadget, and related to that, at digitaltrends.com, new electronic skin allows bionic limbs to feel pain, and that's a good thing. This is a totally different electronic skin, believe it or not. The idea is that amputees, you know, end up having prosthetic limbs and whatever. Um, they're actually making a second electronic skin that can be sort of put on a bit like a stocking over the um, the replacement appendage. I've lost my terminology all of a sudden. Um, and it doesn't just disguise the thing to look like a normal, say, leg or whatever, but the second skin can actually be wired up to give you the sensation of pain and feelings. So an amputee who say lost the lower half of his leg at the moment probably has something they can adequately walk on, but he can't just put his finger down like I'm doing off camera actually at the moment and try scratching his lower leg because obviously it's an artificial thing. There's no sense there. But with this second skin put over it, then one would actually be able to feel the scratching or the pain or lack of it, So um, you know how it is when, pain is a major signifier for kind of what we do. If you're walking along the road and you bang your leg against something and it's bruised or you break a bone or something, it tends to be painful, and that's our body's way of telling us we've done something stupid or something unfortunate has happened anyway. Um, so for somebody who can't feel those senses, it could be awkward, and you could just because they've got an artificial leg doesn't mean it's not breakable. So having that early warning system where you've got prosthetics sounds to me rather useful too. And I of course, as usual, can see far greater applications for that sort of thing in terms of interfacing with devices and being able to do things. Though this particular second skin is strictly a real world sort of thing. Um, right, we talked about the bracelet one, didn't we? Um,
Yep.
yes, and it's not Terminator time yet, but robots with living muscle tissues are on the way. And this too is an article at digitaltrends.com. Same author as the guy who talked about the prosthetics there. Um, okay, and yep, I think everything else there is solar power, right? There's a new solar panel that can harvest energy from, wait for it, the rain. So
Oh,
if you don't get much sun, but you find it's pissing with rain on your roof all the while, you might want to investigate these panels because they turn the raindrops into electricity for you, which is a nice thing. And the post before that is poor old Tim Berners-Lee, or Sir Tim Berners-Lee, who was, it's as it's a few weeks ago now, he was celebrating the web's 29th birthday, and he was interviewed, saying how disappointed he was about everything that's happened to it. Aren't we all, Tim? Aren't we all? Yeah, okay. So just a few extra little things there because I can. Right now, that's it. That's it for this week. And by and large, I haven't given my opinion on anything, and I'm going to refrain from doing so, aren't I, James?
yes.
But have you got any opinions or thoughts on what I have just blabbered on about?
No, not at all today. And I don't know if you can hear the background noise, but I've got a lot of activity in my real life house today with you know,
Ah,
construction and things like that. But hopefully it's not too bad.
no, it's all real
Okay, good,
quiet at this
good,
end. Can't hear a thing.
good,
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, funny the way microphones work. Sometimes you
Yeah,
hear everything half a mile away, and other times you hear nothing.
yep, yep. Yeah, so not surprised that Microsoft is not going to put VR on the Xbox and things like that. That one stuck in my head.
Yeah,
Yeah,
then no, it's not so long ago that they sort of almost abandoned Kinect,
yeah,
which has been through many iterations, and of course was later adapted for PC too.
yep. But I
Um,
do understand it because you know the PC you can have the Vive, the Oculus, a whole variety of platforms can do VR on a PC, and Xbox would be
uh,
just the one. So
I don't know. Well, this is an opinion. This is just vague sort of speculation. But when I think of convergence of technologies and things like that, I keep wondering if at some point, we will just have some integrated software in a computer. Um, uh,
oh yeah, yeah,
I don't want to make any comment about built into a Microsoft operating system, really.
right, right.
Prefer it wasn't, but that can actually harmonize all this, So, you know, um, if you think of Kinect above a monitor, below a monitor, it's an odd shaped thing, isn't it? It's an array of cameras and sensors, and then we got our leap motions, and we got our webcams and microphones, and if then we might have haptic gloves and these new shoes and a special chair and a load of interface devices, but not all of them will be using at any given time. If we're sitting in front of our desk, a whole array of them might be in use. If we're walking around, then a limited number of them might be in use. But um, it'd be nice if all these input devices were somehow what they facilitate was kind of integrated into some kind of all-embracing software that will detect the detectors, if you see what I mean, and
Yep.
will compensate. So where, a, if you haven't got a headset on, a Connect would, you know, um, synchronize events for you and stuff. So it's not to say right, well, we're dropping Connect for the PC because now we've got headsets. What about people that don't want headsets but were quite happy with Connect? Or what if people want to use both? Um, if you've got a headset that isn't quite state of the art yet in terms of its tactile facilities, maybe having a Connect attached to the computer too, working in harmony with the headset, maybe the two of them together will give you a much more um, greater fidelity of experience, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, yeah.
So I see. When it's like Leap Motion. They're doing things even now. They're getting a lot of acclaim. I could mention this too this week for their VR table tennis, and everybody's saying how great it is. I mean, I don't actually know whether you even need a Leap Motion to play it. I guess you'll need some kind of gesture sensor there. And apparently, people are saying, this is not your grandparents' Pong.
Right.
Because apparently it is a really realistic. You actually feel like you're playing table tennis, for in every way because it's all gesture um, controlled. And but the Leap Motion device itself, you don't really hear much about now. You hear about the company because and their software and their ability to, you know, operate sensors to do things. But you know, I mean, they're all contributing things. It's kind of what I like at the moment. You know, there's too many things popping up here, there, and everywhere. Haptic devices and stuff that may or may not take up. But it'd be nice if somebody actually started to sort of try to look at all these devices and think, well, can't we come up with some kind of you know, software that will use the you know, use all these devices, you know, to compensate for each other to give us an all-round better experience. And you know, computers are pretty fast processors these days. I'm sure it's not beyond um, somebody to devise software like that, and
Yeah, I imagine
presumably there'd be a
someday.
market.
When you
Market.
mentioned the internet is, what did you say, 29 years old? I couldn't
Yeah,
believe it's that little. It seems like it's been such a long time, but it hasn't.
it does. It
Yeah.
does. But 30 years is a fair old long time, actually. I mean, looking back, you think, oh, it's just 30 years ago. But when you
Mm-hmm.
actually count those years back and think, oh, hang on, 30 years ago was, let me see, 1985,
Mm-hmm.
86.
Yep.
Good Lord, that was, you know, yes, well,
Yeah.
that was horrible. I mean, there was nothing.
But a lot's happened. A lot has happened in that
Yeah,
time.
exactly.
Yeah.
So, you know, 30 years doesn't seem like long, but in fact, as it happens, it just flies by. But
Yeah.
when you look back, you realize just how the hell of a long time ago that was. You know, half a lifetime for, well, not quite half, but, you know, depending on your age, of course.
Yep. So true. So true.
uh, yeah. Anyway, I think we're done for this week. I know you have to get on with all the um, household,
Yeah. Yeah. Thank
not the
you.
household chores. This is a major operation, isn't it?
Controlled chaos. Right.
You're selling your house, and the realtors are coming in to
Mm.
tot it up so they can sell it.
That's right.
Is the gist of it, right? I thought, yeah, I thought I got the idea,
Make it so
right?
nice I won't want to leave anymore.
Yes, of
No, no,
course.
no.
P-
The plan is in place, so we're good.
The plan is in place.
Yep.
Fair enough. Well, we'll let you get on with this, and over here we'll enjoy the heat of the late afternoon. Got about
Oh, very good.
half an hour before the sun sets, by the look of it, and
Mm.
it's just streaming in. You know,
Hmm.
basking weather. So, thanks everybody for watching. Hope the news was useful. We'll be back same time next, please. Next next week. What am I talking about here? Meanwhile, it's goodbye and good night and good day and good tomorrow and everything else from me and from,
Oh, and from him.
yeah, him and me.
Yep.
And yeah, the two of us. Yes, we two
Exactly.
is one. We two is one. Almost. Night night. I mean, good morning. I mean, have a good week all. See you then. Bye bye.